All right, renaming my screen too. All right, I'm Catherine, and let me go ahead and just kick us off. So, hey, this is an info session for the Community Mural Institute's training program that's happening in Burke County, North Carolina this year. It's going to be so exciting. This is the agenda for our time together until 7. So we'll do some intros. If you don't mind, go ahead and put your name, where you're from, or rather where you're based. And if you have any burning questions, put those items in the chat. That would be awesome. I love that. And I'll be introducing our team, and then they are going to be going over just kind of the program, how it flows, what's involved, and then we'll have time at the end for a little Q&A. Any immediate questions that come up for you guys about that? Okay, nice. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say our team. We have like the dream team. It's an amazing team. I want to introduce Greta McLean. Greta is a community muralist, and she's the owner and creative director of Good Space Murals. She's also the co-founder of the Community Mural Institute. So we got Greta and we got Britt Rue. She is the founder and director of Commonwealth Murals and the co-founder of the Community Mural Institute. And then we also got Tess O'Day as well on the call. She is the administrative coordinator. She's an amazing human, and she helps all along the way make this program work. So she's here as well to help with all the things that come up. And I've mentioned like 4 times, I'm Catherine Irvin, and I'm the host for the training program here in Morganton. And I'll just share a couple little things about the location and why we're having this training program. So the training is happening here in Burke County. We're in Western North Carolina, kind of in the rolling foothills of North Carolina. And the organization that is funding the program and paying for it is the Industrial Commons. So the Industrial Commons is a nonprofit, and it does economic development, which is pretty awesome. It has a real lens of community thriving. It wants to create jobs, but in a very holistic way that honors the whole person, the family. How, do we create jobs that do that really consider the whole person? And so my program, TOSS, is just one little program of the Industrial Commons. And we do a lot of our outreach, and everything we really do is through art. So we use art as a tool for teaching and as a way to bring more stories about diverse community members to the forefront of our public spaces. So that's how we got connected with Community Mural Institute. We really loved their method and their heart for bringing democratic process to the forefront of art making. So that's why we partnered last year and this year again to create this opportunity to train artists. So we love it. Like, we freaking love it. And we're so excited that we're able to do this again this year. All right, so that's me. And I'm going to just be doing the slides. And I'm going to turn it over to Britt and Greta to talk a little bit about the program and what all it involves.
Do you want to start though, Catherine, with doing
slide.
a little bit of this overview? This
Yes,
is still you. One more slide.
I got it. I see it.
Tabitha, this one's Catherine.
I got this. Okay, good. All right, sweet. Yes. Okay, so I kind of mentioned that we've done this last year. So we did it last year, and it was really beautiful. And so I have a really good sense of how everything works. But essentially, the idea is that we bring 12 artists together. These are emerging artists. Perhaps these are artists who have, some like larger works or smaller works in your portfolio, but you're looking for an opportunity to grow. And so we're bringing those folks together to create 3 rather large murals in Morganton. And these murals are going to be around stories that we've identified need to be told. So a couple summers ago, we worked with a group of high school students to take like a little walking tour. We went through Morganton. We looked at what public art was already available for the eyeballs and what was not. And what we noticed was there were a lot of things that felt very very homogenous, a lot of white centric things, a lot of things about like the Civil War, or things that were about just a very narrow lens. And Burke County is a really diverse place. We have a large Hmong population. We have a large Guatemalan population. We have a really thriving African American community. We have the School for the Deaf here. We have J. Iverson Riddle, which is for folks of varying ability. We just have a beautiful, very diverse community. And these students were like, yeah, we need to like showcase who's actually living here. And so that was really the heart of why we wanted to start it. And so last year we did 3 murals that just were incredible. And this year we have the opportunity to do 3 more. One will be specifically around the deaf and hard of hearing community. And we're partnering really closely with the School for the Deaf on that one, which is awesome. And then another one is going to be about women at work. I can remember like the students who were like, we need more women in art downtown. So there was a real emphasis on that. And because that's very broad, we had to narrow it a little bit. So we're thinking about 3 specific people from sectors in civic engaged jobs, small business, and the arts to feature. And then another one, which is kind of exciting and really in alignment with our vision around economic development, is this theme of rural futures. So how do you create pathways to thriving? It has to be this intentional thing. And how is it done? What does it look like? And so we have a lot of jobs in manufacturing and the trades here in Burke County. So we want a mural that really celebrates those fields of work and can really showcase how people are doing excellent things in those industries. So that mural will be at our community college, which is just perfect. And then I didn't mention this, but the Women at Work mural is going to be on the side of a downtown business. We have a restaurant that's going to host it, and we're still looking for a wall for the mural around the deaf community. So is that a good overview? And guys, just so you know, all of this information is in our call. So if you aren't sure where that is, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in our chat. But all of this is online for you to look at any point too. Okay, that's it. That was the overview. Nice. And this is Greta.
This is Greta. This is my slide. So we went through, and this again, we're going through the call with you guys, but we just sort of identified who would be the right candidate for the CMI. So so I have been doing murals for 20 years. I love mural making so much. And what we have done here with the CMI is created what to me would have been my dream kind of training when I was starting my career. So we're really looking like who is looking to expand their mural making toolbox and portfolio. Catherine was saying that we're going to make murals that are like kind of big. They're 1,000 square feet. So they're pretty big. And these will be, pieces that you will be able to claim in your portfolio moving forward once we go through this whole program together. So we wanted to give people tools and also kind of mentor one of these parachute cloth projects, and then also have folks come through the program with not only more like networking and know-how, but also a piece for their portfolio. So if you're interested in like getting just more mural magic tools in your toolbox, you're good for this program. If you're comfortable, we're really looking at promoting we're calling it the good space method because it's the method I've been doing for a really long time, but really it centers community input and murals is a tool for community organizing. So if you are comfortable with like not only doing art really big in the public, but also opening up that process to having the community be part of it, or looking at if you're not comfortable with that yet, but you want to start to get comfortable with that, this is a good program for you. And then a lot of what we're finding is that like kind of like the most it tends to be better aligned if your work is narrative or figurative, especially when we're working with communities and telling community stories. So if you do figurative work, that is a good indicator. And then maybe your figurative work is this small and you want to make it this big, so how we can kind of scale what you're already doing. And then again, just like if you're kind of into this, what it would look like to be a community engaged muralist, we're here to help you. If you're already doing it, awesome. We're here just to be your cheerleader and work with you. And this is also, we're here to like launch more and more artists into using murals as community organizing tools. How do you do? What do you think, Catherine?
Really good.
Yes?
I'm
Britt, we're doing okay? So
Okay, sorry, I wanted to.
just want to,
Britt.
I
I'm
just want to hear her voice. Yeah.
trying to
Britt!
unmute. Hi. I just wanted to interject a process point. If you have a question, you might have come onto this call because you have a specific question or something we say brings the question up. Please throw it in the chat, and we're going to have Tess monitoring that so we make sure we answer all of them. And if your question it's too complicated to throw in the chat, just, I don't know, raise your hand or interrupt, and we'll answer it. Or we'll
Please.
say, we're about to get to that, and then we'll answer it later on.
So again, this is Greta. The CMI is teaching the good space method, and we are calling kind of the combination of community engagement from start to finish in the mural process and the polytab technique. That combination we're calling the good space method. So we're going to walk you through what it is that we are teaching. So, and there's also in the call, the online version at least, you can see a video of me walking through a process from start to finish. So if you have questions, and also this is laid out 1, 2, 3, whatever, all the way through. But we really just want to be really transparent. And this is the process of mural making that we will be teaching in the CMI and what we will also be doing together in the CMI. So, Catherine has already said that like we have identified kind of our big themes, but we don't have a design and we don't actually know the content of these murals. And that's on purpose, right? Because this good space method starts with these community gatherings and listening sessions to identify some, I mean, we have some big themes, but to identify like the secondary themes, ideas and images and things that are meaningful for these different community groups that we're going to be working with. So we will be teaching different techniques for engaging community. And then the practice of the practicum of the CMI is actually doing the community listening sessions, having the conversations and identifying those themes as a cohort. So we'll figure out before there's any design, we do listening. What is it that we want our murals to say? And then the second step is we go into, I'm like, what did we write as number 2? Did you see me reading the slide really quick? What did we say as number 2? So, during that same in that phase 1, the lead artist, and we're going to talk about this too, is that we've identified that there's 2 roles in the CMI, and we'll go into that more, but there's a lead and there's an assistant, and the lead artists are the ones that are actually going to be putting together the mural designs. There will be a time when those designs are brought back to the community and there's an editing portion where it's like, this is almost right, but you missed this thing. So we're going to be like, this is going to be a for real, you're going to be making a mural in the community kind of setup. But we, as the Community Mural Institute, are mentoring and holding the space for that whole process. But once that mural design is approved, because it will be approved, however we get there, we get there. And then the lead artist is actually going to put it all into, we're going to like, format it to be able to project it onto different pieces of polytab. So this is that polytab. If you've heard of the polytab mural technique, it's an indirect mural technique where the whole mural is painted first on pieces of mural canvas and then put up like permanent wallpaper. And this was developed by the Philadelphia Mural Arts Program. And again, we have a link to that information in the call. But once we'll teach you how to prep the poly and get everything ready to have community paint parties, which is something that we're really excited about, is bringing the community into the fabrication of the work. So phase 3 is bringing the pieces of the mural out to the community. And then phase 4 is there's going to be like a touch up. Everyone's going to actually be sent home with pieces of the canvas to do portions of the mural. And then we will all come together and install it on the wall, and we'll teach you how to install these. Once these murals are installed, they will last longer than a mural that is painted directly on the wall. This is a really amazing technique to have in your pocket. And then at the end, we are going to celebrate in community. Those are the phases. Okay, next. I was like looking, who has
Okay, I was like, okay, that's me.
Britt's coming, Tabitha. Okay.
Hey, this is Britt. So I wanted to speak a little bit about those two roles that Greta mentioned. There is the role of the lead artist and then the assistant. In the application process, you will be able to indicate whether you would like to be considered for the lead role or the role of one of the lead artists. There'll be 3. And whether you are interested in the training, even if you aren't selected as the lead artist. I would really encourage you, if you are interested in being a lead, to say you would also be interested in just attending the training, because there's so much information that you're going to learn. So we've had in past CMIs people who wanted to be a lead who weren't selected, who still participated and found it really worth their while. And if you have never designed a mural before, you are welcome to, say you'd like to be considered as a lead, but it's a challenging design process, and we're going to really look at some past experience in designing murals when we're looking at the lead, but we'll get into that a little bit later with the selection criteria. So there was a question in the chat about, is there a process? Is it different for people who are out of state? The application, it is open to anyone. People who are out of state, there is preference for North Carolina or Western North Carolina. People who live in Western North Carolina, but it definitely is open. And last time we had people from not just Western North Carolina who participated. So the application process is the same. We'll get into this again a little bit when we talk about schedule, but there will be times where you will not want to be driving more than an hour each way at the end of the day. So we pack so much into these in-person training days. It's exhausting. Earlier in the presentation, we put those pictures of the two of our lead artists before the paint at the beginning of the day. They're like, yeah, and at the end of the day, they're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So it's tiring. So there are local accommodations. There are hotels and Airbnb, and then Catherine, because she's just an amazing community connector and organizer, has some local families who are willing to host people from out of town in a room in their house. So it's something to keep in mind. Having transportation to get yourself from wherever you are to Morganton and back is really helpful. And if you're driving for a while, you'll probably want to plan on staying in town. And so the funding, this is a training. You can go to Philly and pay a lot, several $1,000s, and get one portion of this training that's specifically about Polytab. But this training offers a lot more. So, but it is a big commitment of time and effort. So in recognition of the time and effort that everyone's putting in, we offer stipends. You may be looking at it and being like, this is not very much for painting a mural, but I encourage you to think of this as a scholarship for training as opposed to a mural commission, because that's really what this program is set up to do, to just provide you with so much tools and information and experience. So, Greta, do you want to add anything about this?
Yeah, just to reiterate that, there's one thing that it says of how much we're going to be holding. I mean, again, I think that's like the biggest confusion when we put this out, and we've really worked on our wording around this to call it, instead of like a call for artists, like come get a mural commission, that this really is meant to be, we're getting a resource for muralists that are looking for more tools. And we would like to provide you with those tools. And the only way that we've really found to get people to really know the ins and outs of these tools is through the practice of actually creating the mural. And so that is like the practicum component of the theory, is we will tell you all the things and give you all the all of the resources, but then we will have you do it for hours so that it becomes like muscle memory, and you can really claim and own that you really know how to do it, so that when you bring it out into the world and apply for those mural calls, you really can feel confident that you got it. and that you also have us as part of, we will continue to cheerlead you forever. So hello, and we will be a resource for you. So that's, I think, a big difference here.
This is Britt. Sarah asked a question about, are there expectations for how the artist will use this knowledge after the program, commitments on your part after the training ends? And there are no formal expectations or commitments. We just really hope that you do, because, you know, community engaged murals are the best. And you'll probably walk away being like, yes, I can't wait to use this. But you are free to use it or not, however you want, when this training is over. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is the schedule, and if you have specific questions on the schedule as we go through each of these slides, feel free to just jump in. These are the dates for when it opens, when it closes. The first training, we will have one-on-one, Greta will have one-on-one meetings with everyone who's selected, just to go over things, to again ask questions, or a chance for you to ask questions, and for us to get some other information as we're trying to sort out teams, because we break all the 12 participants into 3 teams. So trying to figure out what the best balance for that is. So those will happen online with Greta and each person who's selected. There's an OSHA training that we will ask you to do ahead of time, and some paperwork that Tess will be sending you to fill out. And then we do some virtual training.
Because we're putting you on a, sorry, just because we're putting you on a lift, and how cool is that? So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out.
That was Greta. Okay,
Hi,
and
sorry, Tabitha.
then we'll do online training over 2 days. It says 9 to 4. We tend to end a little early on those days, but this is a lot of introduction into mural design, community engaged mural design, how you run a community listening session, and you'll be working in your team online during those trainings to prepare for your team's community listening session. So those will happen on those dates in May. One thing that people often ask is, I'm available for everything except for this particular day. So if you are available for everything except for a particular day, apply anyway and put it in your application. We will talk with you about it. Like the online sessions, we'll record. I would encourage you to try to move things around so you don't miss anything, because they're really, like, we have every minute scheduled of every day with so much information. So, but we can, life happens. So we do try to accommodate people. Okay, next slide. So you will work, as I said, in your team on your community listening session. The community listening sessions will be happening in person in Morganton. The specific dates are not scheduled yet because they need to be coordinated between the team and the community groups. We have done things where if someone can't make their team's listening session, they attend another one just so that they can see how they work. So there is some flexibility with the dates, but we try to schedule them within that window. And then the lead artists, the 3 lead artists, do lots of work on their design. All the assistant artists, this is like a little break time for you. And then you get kind of scooped back in when we go into in-person meetings. But the lead artist will be doing lots of communicating with Greta. This is, Greta has been working as a muralist for over 20 years. She kind of holds the design process, and it's a collaborative design between you and Greta. So you can expect lots of communication and input, and Greta's hands getting in there, moving things around, assisting in the design process. And that's the case for everyone, all the lead designers. So those are those virtual meetings. There's a presentation you make to the local steering committee with the design, and we talk with you about how to do that. We have a format you can use and kind of go with you through that process. And the assistant muralist assistants, we encourage them to attend those presentations because it's a great learning experience. But the specific dates for that's not set yet either. Okay, next slide. Then we go into the fun in-person time. So our first training is July 19th to the 21st. If you are going to be on vacation during those 3 days, you probably shouldn't apply. You can't miss it. It's a key part of the process. We work. We go out, we train, we work, we run these community paint parties. And if you miss that whole piece of the training, it's just a big piece of the training. So that's kind of a date that we're really not flexible on. And those are days, they're long days, and we would encourage you, if you're not local, to arrange to stay overnight in the area for those trainings. And then the community paint parties, there'll be 3. So there's some flexibility if you can't make them all. They're so fun. So if you can make them all, I think you're going to want to. They're my favorite thing. But if you can't, if you can only make one, that's fine. And there's some flexibility with that. And then there's a lot of studio work, a lot of time that each person, the leads and all the assistants, are going to be spending working on these panels after the community paints them. The community does their work. It's beautiful and it's messy and it's not at all ready to be put up on the wall. So the amount of time that you're spending varies by how fast of a painter you are and what the design looks like. So we've tried to estimate it, but it's a little varied. You can come to TOS Studio and work there in Morganton, or you can bring your panels home with you after that weekend with the paint that you need and work on them in your own studio or your own home, but it's a big chunk of work. And then we come back together in October, and you have all of August and September to work on them. And then we come together in October to install. Again, if you can't make that, especially the first Saturday and Sunday where we're training, that's kind of a problem. And then there's, we're going into install mode, getting these murals up on the wall. And if there's like a day that, you have to go to a wedding or something that you can't change, let's talk about it. But those are really important days in learning the process. So that is this is physical work in the beginning. When we say the CMI is right for you, if one of the things we talk about is that you are physically able to do this kind of, it's physical labor. You're out in whatever weather. We were installing last year in July, I think. It was like ridiculously hot and humid. And now we're installing in October. Hopefully it'll be better. But whatever the weather, we're out there. You're up on lifts. You're using your whole body. You're standing on your feet for all day. So that's something to kind of do a self-assessment about when you're thinking about applying. Okay, so that's the schedule. Any specific questions about schedule? Awesome. Okay, next slide.
This is Catherine. I did want to note quickly, we may have only 2 paint parties. I'm not sure if we'll have 3. It might be 2. Yeah. I can only party 2 times, y'all. Just kidding.
We know that is not true about you,
That's not true.
Catherine. Oh yeah, and then ribbon cutting, it's when the whole community and the team comes to celebrate. It's sad when you can't make the ribbon cutting, so try to make it. But if you have to miss it, you're still going to know what you're doing. You're just going to be sad, and we're going to be sad that you're not there. How do you handle weather delays? That is a great question. We build some time into that installation schedule to be a little flexible around weather. I mean, if a hurricane comes through and there's just no getting on the lift for the entire week, we're going to have to just figure it out. But hopefully that won't happen. And we're just, working around the weather. And, if it's like a tiny bit of rain, we might still be installing. But if it's like a hurricane, we'll be taking the day off.
This is Catherine again. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, last summer, there were all kinds of like little showers through the day, but the installation was able to go forward and it worked out just fine.
This is Greta. The other piece that's cool about the CMI is that we have y'all's as the participants as our main team, but the CMI also has a support team. And that in part is in place in the case of weather stuff or in the case of unforeseen whatever. We are here as a total support to get you to the church on time. So we are there like, okay, if the day ends at 7, but we have a team and we're going to roll up at 7 and we're going to work until 10, whatever it is, we're out there to really help you get to the finish line. And that's the piece that's built into this as well. Because we know that weather stuff and those unforeseen things are part of the mural madness.
Okay, so,
Bray, go ahead if
Sorry.
you want that slide.
oh, yes, you can do it. Go for it if you
I
like.
just saw my name. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
We were debating, should we have Catherine do it? Should we do it? Go for it.
If I do a bad job, just take over. All right. So what are we looking for? What is the criteria? So in that left column, you can see the different criteria, elements that we're just interested in. So experience designing and painting murals. That's really important for someone who's going to be the lead. So you don't have to have done a million murals, but you need to have had a little bit experience or demonstrate some competency in larger scale work. The style being like conducive to community engaged murals. So having some work samples that, may have narrative elements, like was mentioned earlier, or have, are you comfortable getting input from the community? That's really important part. Experience as a painter. Like perhaps you're a super skilled illustrator or graphic designer. That's wonderful. But if you have painting samples as well, that's going to be what we're really going to be looking at. Meaningful connection to Morganton or Burke County. This is really important as well. We really would love for the artists involved to have some connection to the stories that we're telling. So the stories again being women at work, the school, not the school, but I'm sorry, the deaf community. We work so closely with the school, I go there in my mind, but the deaf and hard of hearing community in Burke County. And then the last one is thinking about pathways to thriving in work around trades and manufacturing. So if there are connections to those themes or our region, we really love that. And I think it makes it very meaningful. Of course, it's not absolutely necessary, but we just like that so much. And that really does go, oh, really, I'm sorry. Those two rows were really close together. So meaningful connection to Morganton or Burke County or identifying with one or more of the mural themes. The next one is openness to having your art influenced by the community. This is tricky because a lot of times artists can work very independently and not have to have a lot of input from others, but this is such a major piece of the process. So if you are like excited about that, taking feedback, often it can be constructive feedback where a change is required. If you're open to that and ready to bring people into the creative process with you, that is going to be, you're going to thrive in this program. If you're not comfortable with that, it's going to be much more difficult, specifically for the folks who are designing the mural. And prior experience engaging with the community, teaching, facilitating workshops, or public speaking. So the moments where we're having our listening sessions, or you're at the paint parties and you're engaging with people, or the ribbon cutting, or perhaps we interview you for our little documentary that we're making. There's going to be a lot of moments where you're engaging with people and you're going to have to, be expressive and maybe go outside your comfort zone a little bit. So just being willing to do that. And if you have experience with any kind of like teaching or public speaking, that's wonderful to know. If not, it's okay, but we just like to know if you have any experience with that. And the last thing is being able and committed to attend all the scheduled sessions. This is so key, especially for the teams. Like if you aren't showing up and helping in the way that you've committed, it can really put your team members in a pinch. So just being extremely clear on like what you can commit to in the very beginning. So for example, we had last year a couple of folks who had like a wedding or something that they knew was an unavoidable and unmovable event. And they told us, way in advance, and it worked out just fine. But like not showing up, not notifying us in time, just not being present when you've committed is not okay. So really understanding the schedule is super critical before you apply. And I know it's kind of tricky because some of those are more like a week or 2 weeks. There's a little bit of like, we're not sure until people can commit and we can schedule the time with the steering committees. But looking at those big blocks of time is just the best we can do at this moment. All right, that's it for me. Anything else y'all wanted to add to that for the criteria? Okay. And Tess, you want to talk about the application process?
Hey, y'all. Yes, this is Tess. Hello. I am all things administration, technology, any kind of support you need, questions. It's me. I'm the one behind the info email. So feel free at any point to reach out to me. I'm available to answer your questions, to help you if you're having trouble with the application, with technology, anything at all. So here I am. Yeah, so the application process, again, it's linked in all the places. And we will fix that little video link. Thank you for pointing that out. And I would, when you're thinking about, oh, what do I submit? Just generally refer, as Catherine explained in the last slide, to the artist selection criteria, because that really outlines, kind of, it's a guideline for what we're going to be looking for when we're looking through applications. Like work samples. If you have really large scale work, it's a really good idea to highlight that, especially if you're applying for a lead, or if you're interested in working with the community. So I would just generally refer to that criteria if you have, you're wondering about, oh, what do I submit, or what should I highlight? What else to say about this? I had something and I lost it. I think I think that's it. I think if there's any again, technology questions, or if you need assistance with the application in any way, feel free to reach out. And I would also just, if you feel like you don't have enough experience, or you're worried about submitting something that's not going to be good enough or something like that, this training is really designed for people in all stages of their careers, and especially early career muralists. So I would say definitely go for it, definitely apply, put out whatever you have, and we will look forward to seeing it. Anything else to add on that? Okay.
It's Google. This is Britt. It's a Google form. It will ask you for your email.
Yes.
If you have an issue with that, talk to Tess.
Right.
And your 3 to 5 images of your artwork, please submit artwork that demonstrates your painting ability, and especially if you're going for the lead, that's representative of the style that you would use to create a mural in this context. I know that sounds like maybe obvious, but it doesn't always happen. So, and often the pictures we take that look cool on Instagram, they are not the best pictures to submit for an artist call. Like straight on pictures where we can see the whole thing, we love those. So if you have them, submit them.
Amazing. Okay. So now our presentation is over. We have some time for Q&A. I think maybe Tess, is there any question in the chat we haven't answered yet? We can look at those, perhaps.
I think we've hit them all. I mean, if anybody has put one in the chat that they feel like wasn't fully answered. Let's see, expectations about out of state, commitments. Yeah, I think so far we've got them.
This is Britt. Catherine, when people RSVP'd, there were some questions in that form. Did we hit all of those?
I think we have. A lot of it was covered in like the rubric we have here. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a question. Will this be fun? And will I be fed? Will there be food involved?
Yeah. So much food and coffee, and yes, fun.
Yes.
So, I mean, we work really hard in my experience, muralists are work hard, play hard kind of folks. And so, you know, we work really hard and we also really try to have fun and take care of each other. This is, like we said, a training we try to hold for everyone and create a space where everyone can feel like they can lean in and they can stretch and grow and be held and be successful. And really connect with each other, because one of the big, I think, valuable things that comes out of this training is connection with other artists that know this process, that when you get a mural, you know, you're leading your project and now you're going to do your own mural and you're like, holy crap, I need a crew. And you're going to know some people that you like, I know how they work, we get along well, I'm going to tap them. So we really try to create that opportunity for people to enjoy each other and get to know each other. There's a question, how many spaces are open for lead artists? There's 3, 1 for each of the 3 murals that we're doing. And Greta, there's a question for you. What percentage of your murals are polytab?
It's almost all of them, y'all. This is Greta. So I've been using polytab I've been doing polytab murals since 2009, 10. And now almost all of my murals are done with polytab.
You
So
should
if
check
you
our
want to look at
website
the
out.
Good Space,
Yeah.
yeah, yep. So the Good Space Murals website, yeah, awesome. So like those ones, those are almost all polytab murals, and you can tell when we say that they look like they have been built right on the wall or painted on the wall. I think they kind of do. I really think that, and you can see the work samples to back that up.
I have a quick question. My name is Claire. I'm based in Graham in Alamance County, North Carolina. And I had just had a question around, like, once this training is done, do y'all also, I guess, like, provide support or like help around applications in the future of just like, once we've done this training, like, and we see these calls for murals, like, do you have, I don't know if there's like a way to still stay connected and like help folks, yeah, do the applications. And I just also wanted to say that, Greta, I became familiar with your work very recently. I did a training with Colectivo Morivivi, who are based in Puerto Rico. Yeah, and they pointed me to your work. Yeah, they're awesome, and they're the first ones who introduced me to Polytab too. It was a really awesome experience.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, yeah. So I was really excited to see this call. Yeah, that's my question.
They're great. That's so fun. Were you working on a project with them in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. So I went down to Puerto Rico. I've also been following them for a long time. Yeah, my roots are also in the Caribbean from the French Antilles, and so I'm always kind of trying to connect with more Caribbean artists. And yeah, I just kind of like DM'd them out of the blue, and I was like, I love your work. I've been saving money. I just want to come to Puerto Rico and like help you. I just want to like be around you. And they were super, super awesome. I mean, they looked at my portfolio and you know, we had a few calls and I helped, I went down there in June. And so I helped for one of their murals in June. And yeah, it was a really awesome experience. Yeah, it was really like, I learned so much.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're another example of, oh, sorry. Britt, you go.
Go for it.
They're just an example of artists. So we met because of Fresh Paint Springfield, which is an amazing mural festival that Britt runs. That's where we all met. So we all know each other. And I was so impressed by them because they came in just painting up walls, doing beautiful work. And they saw that we were doing the polytab technique and immediately were like, we just want more techniques. Mm-hmm. So I think they really illustrate artists that were like, if that's a tool that I could potentially use to continue to open up our walls to different people or different situations, they're like, we want those techniques. And so it's so fun that they're doing that now. And that's how you heard it, because they really came in like, what do you got? And I was like, well, you already are doing your thing. And they're like, we want more. So yeah. That's rad.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, it was really convenient just because of the heat down there. It's just really insane to think about, you know, them just painting walls without this technique. And yeah, and it was really, yeah, it was just really super, super informative. And I have also been looking at the training in Philly with the mural arts. But same thing as y'all mentioned, like I guess the main kind of critique of that was just kind of like they show you how to do the poly tab, but there isn't necessarily like a whole container. So it's just really exciting to see that y'all are putting this together.
We're excited about it. But to answer your question, after the training, we are here. You will have our phone numbers and you'll be able to contact us on WhatsApp and email and all the things, and people do. You will be able to use us for references or ask questions. We can help you figure out, you might be like, hey, I want to do a project on this wall. Does it work? And, you know, what should I be thinking about? What kind of lift do I need? Like whatever kind of questions we get asked. And we love that. That's what we're here for. There's also some like materials that you're going to need, and having Catherine there in Morganton as a place, like Polytab comes in these giant rolls. And unless you're doing multiple murals with Polytab, you're not necessarily going to need a whole roll. And so we try to leave some with Toss so that she can sell it to you like by the linear foot for projects. So there is support after. You'll have each other and you will have us.
Nice. Thank you.
This is
Any other? Oh, go ahead.
any other questions? That's what I was going to say too. If there aren't any other questions, I did just want to say just one little kind of plug for how this program has been affecting our community. So I just think it's been incredible to pair the training program with the creation of this professional, beautiful, cohesive art. And since last year, we've had so many community members tell us how the murals have been transforming them and even institutions in our area, because we take these big groups on walking tours to look at the public art we've created. And it really is making a big difference in our community. So it's kind of cool to think about being part of a community that's doing that and changing the way that small rural towns are perceived, and bringing more exposure and illuminating the stories that haven't been told in these public forums. So it's been a delight to do it, and it feels incredible to create this work as a team. And so I think y'all really enjoy it.
And if you know people, this is Britt, if you know other artists that you think might be interested, let them know. Please share this opportunity. They might not have seen it on the socials, or so yeah, help us spread the word. We would appreciate it.
Cool. Feel free to contact us anytime if you'll have questions before applying, and we're just available to help and happy to do that. But thank you guys so much for joining us. What a delight. And this is going to be, we'll put this on our website so you can access this video too of the call and get any details you need from that, or share it with others too.